All right, as always, no decisions were made in executive session. Moving on to finance and facilities, we have a presentation this evening from Dennis and Mike on the fishbowl expansion site. So we'll turn it right over to you guys.
Just a second.
Susan got the holiday outfit.
Yeah.
Memo. And the socks too. Down to the socks too. Our December meeting would have to look festive somehow.
Right. Frank and I have stuff to report. Yeah.
You're still playing plans.
They like
Oh,
it's See it?
All right, so good evening, everybody. So Dennis and I are thankful for having some time during tonight's meeting to talk about Kobe and the branch campus possibilities down at Fishkill. So why a branch campus at Fishkill? One of the reasons is opportunity for growth. So in partnership with Dutchess County and EDAC, we currently are working on, we have aviation out at the hangar, but at Fishkill, we have mechatronics and HVAC. As you all know, we have an HVAC associate's degree coming online that begins fall 2026. That's an expansion from our existing ACR certificate program now. We also launched micro-credentials this year as well. It allows us to have some expansion opportunities so we can launch new programs like automotive. We spent the past year or two working with folks from an automotive advisory council and an HVAC advisory council to build new programs out. And so we can expand that way. We can grow existing programs and add some programs, for example, architecture, construction management, HVAC, business, hospitality, cybersecurity, AI, data science, and emerging technologies, including quantum computing and in connection with IBM. It'll strengthen our regional role, so it'll give us an ability to be a strong partner in driving economic development and regional growth, and it enhances our reputation as innovative and entrepreneurial. It'll also help reduce student out-migration, so it'll help curb the increasing number of Dutchess County residents attending community colleges elsewhere. The county has had to make an adjustment for an increase of about 92 students going elsewhere for programs that we could offer here actually at DCC. It's a strategic location for regional economic development. So it is centrally located in southern Dutchess County. As we know, a larger population in the county now lives in the southern part of the county. So it'll be accessible for students from Beacon, Wappingers Falls, Hopewell Junction, and even parts of Putnam County. As folks know, we have joint custody of Putnam County with Westchester Community College. So students in Putnam County can either decide to come to DCC or to go to WCC. So if we're offering more programs that students from Putnam County may want to come up and take, and doing them in Fishkill actually is closer for those students. Proximity to I-84 and Route 9 creates an easy commute for students, faculty, and the employer partners. So for example, we partner already with the Gap and on SIMI, we're doing a lot of work with them. And so being able to increase opportunities for their employees would be useful for us. It'll strengthen our presence in the Southern Dutchess corridor and signals a long-term commitment to regional engagement. So we want to help them understand that we're there to stay. We're going to be there for quite some time. It aligns with our expanding Center of Excellence model by meeting students where they are and supporting local economic development. It'll expand and deepen partnerships with employers, school districts, and economic development leaders. Again, those are some of the folks that have been working with us in our advisory councils, the automotive and the HVAC. We've had folks from industry. We've had folks from our local school districts. Also, our P-TECH program that we've launched down at Fishkill involved BOCES and Wappinger School District. So it's really important that we build up those relationships. Accessibility and equity, so to reduce travel time for students in Southern Dutchess County and Northern Putnam County, improving access for underserved and transportation limited populations. It'll help attract adult and non-traditional learners who need flexible scheduling and a campus close to home. Again, if we're working with those folks who work at the Gap or at onsemi or any of those industries down in the southern part of the county, it'll be easier for them to get from work to be able to take classes at Fishkill than it might be to come up to the main campus. Also, it provides students in Southern Dutchess access to a fuller range of academic programs and support services, reducing barriers to persistence and completion. Because as you know, we cannot offer full degrees at Fishkill right now because it is not a branch campus. We can't offer a full degree at a location until it is an actual branch campus. Yeah. Some expansion opportunities. We can support multiple degree and workforce pathways, so formalizing Fishkill's expanding academic and workforce mission under a campus designation. Again, it allows us to offer full degrees. That'll also allow us to expand what we offer down there in terms of certificates, micro-credentials, and also our non-credit offerings. It positions Fishkill as a hub for emerging and high-demand programs, so ELT, business management, HVAC, ACR, mechatronics, cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, technology, business, and entrepreneurship. It creates capacity to offer hybrid and evening classes for working professionals and those adult learners. And it advances 3 priorities for the college: to increase adult learner enrollment and retention, it strengthens regional workforce alignment, and it can expand our presence and impact in the southern part of the county. So a reputational risk if expansion does not move forward. So like I've mentioned already, we've invested 2 years engaging in external stakeholders, advisory groups, and partners in planning the Fishkill expansion. So if we don't move forward with this, it will say some might feel that all that work was for naught. These partners view the project as a key economic driver for the county, and not advancing expansion could undermine the confidence in DCC's commitment to regional growth and collaboration. So with that, I turn it over to Dennis. Then we'll answer any questions you have at the end. So Dennis. Thanks, Will.
So let's talk about some of the key details of Fishkill project. So it's 75,500 square feet of expansion space, 450 new students over the next 4 years. That's new, right? What that means is students that will be at Fishkill that are existing doesn't count towards this number. This number would only be the new programs and growth in the programs. We've already have $1.5 million in hand from the county and the state for equipment. We are also looking at, we applied for a $2 million operating grant. I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the financial projections. We've applied for additional $5 million in operating and equipment grants. We're partnering with EDAC on a $1 million grant. The net lease cost is $854,000 after the state discount. We already have a letter of intent signed. Fishkill's eligible to be a branch campus, and we're expecting an August 2026 opening. We've had a lot of broad engagement, as mentioned, with faculty, staff, and DCC leadership. We have a steering committee with 5 working groups. We have 18 staff and 8 faculty involved, 2 advisory groups, HVAC and automotive, and we've engaged with them for a couple of years. We have an architect. Remember, this is a lease space. Mays Corporation is the owner of the space, and they provided us an architect to work with us. We've had over 15 meetings with the architect to discuss the plans. And the first floor and second floor plans, as you can see by the easels and some of the handouts, are essentially complete. The vision for the new space, 22,500 square feet will be dedicated to the first floor, which would be automotive. The second floor will have HVAC labs with training equipment, architecture and construction management labs, brand new plotter room and design rooms, business and hospitality instructional space, CIS and emerging technology space for cybersecurity, AI, et cetera. Some space for early college and high schools, up to 50 students at a time with a lunchroom and warm-up kitchen, faculty offices, student study areas and gathering spaces, and a large meeting room with 175 people that we can rent out for conferences and events. It also can be partitioned into 3 smaller spaces if necessary for everyone to use, not just outsiders. Look at your handout. It's probably easier to see than it is up on the screen. This is the existing floor plans. Let's start at the top. I'm looking at the pink to the right. That would be the entrance to the first floor, which would be automotive. You would enter. There would be elevators there as well. You would go into a reception area, similar to what you might see at a car dealer. It'd be very nice, welcoming space. There would be a greeter there and a faculty office as well. As you get down to the light blue, you start entering the main space where the bays are. There would be about 8 bays in operation. There would be a tire changing center, oil places for oil changes, etc. Down at the bottom right, you'll see another office, and you'll see some storage for waste, for coolants and oil. As we move further down, you'll see 2 classrooms. They hold 20 students each. And the yellow is a break room, and the green is restrooms and lockers. It's going to be a very exciting space. It'll have roll-up doors, similar to what you would see if you take your car into service. As the cars move in, come in one side and they'll exit out the other. There will also be an outdoor space to hold the cars with a rooftop. That's part of the arrangement with Mays. We asked for a rooftop in place for climate weather and that kind of thing. So that's the first floor, automotive. You flip the page over, we get into the second floor space. If you look at the right side of the document or right side of the screen, you'll see the light green or yellow colors. That's the existing space. We already have 47,000 square feet at Fishkill right now. And we talked a lot about mechatronics lab and other programs there. Now, if we go to the center top, if you've been down at Fishkill, that's where the security guard is. And you enter the space and there's a stairway and an elevator. That's the center top. And then you'll see that purple space is that event space that I was talking about that holds 175 people. Below that, this is color coded. You'll see a little lounge area. What we thought of there was that it was important that if you have a big event, that there's another space where people can hang out during breaks and so forth. So we made them close together. Continuing over in the light blue, that's where we have all brand new labs for architecture. We will work closely with that department, meeting their needs with plotter rooms, design room. We have a critique space for critiquing, etc. Very nice space. Going down in the red is a very large space for HVAC, which will have new equipment, classroom, two faculty members, John Trozy and Kevin Welsh, are very excited about moving into this space as well. The green is restrooms. The lighter bluish color is classrooms. In the yellow, I want to point out that's where the P-Tech students would be for their lunch and refrigeration room. Above that is a student study space that could be used by anybody. We think it's important to have soft seating and some lounge spaces for our students. As you get into the blue, there'll be a learning commons area. We've worked with Bonnie Gallagher here at the main campus to help design that. Faculty offices, and you'll look, there's space in the center of the faculty office. We think it's important. We want the faculty to collaborate, work together, get to know each other, think about future ideas. And then you'll see the green space is cybersecurity. It'd be very nice state-of-the-art lab for cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is not going away. It's going to be a hot topic for a long time. Those little yellow rooms are virtual hubs. They're small spaces where students can connect with the main campus if they need to have a meeting. We talked about a branch campus. It's also if someone has a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting, and they want to have a private space and they don't have a private office, that'll make that available. And then further up in the light purple is a chemistry lab. So we're working on that with the chemistry and the biology department. And finally, if you look down at the bottom right, you'll see those spaces in a different color that's existing. That's where our business department will be located. They'll have a mock retail space that can be turned into even a hotel reception area to teach some students to learn real on-the-job training with these type of spaces. So that's the second floor space. We also have a small house. Part of what we've learned about the skilled professions is that many of the students, for this example, learn how to fix the air conditioning, fix the heating unit, but they don't have the soft skills to, when they go into the person's house, they don't know how to talk to the customer. That's what we can offer here at DCC as well. They don't know how to be managers, so they can't move up the ranks. That's what we can teach at DCC. So that's where we can mingle these HVAC programs with business, and it's a nice combination. Let's get into the finances. Okay, so let's talk about new student enrollment. Mentioned earlier, 450 new students. That's completely new. There'll be more students down at Fishkill campus, but these are just new students. So we're projecting 110 in the first year, 220, 330, and then we get to 450. You can see the tuition and fees revenue. We'll be charging a premium fee for automotive and HVAC, and you can see those numbers as well. Workforce non-credit. Look at those projections. That's the revenue we expect from them. And then the rental income, which I mentioned earlier. We think these numbers are conservative, that we can rent out the space to other groups. There's a lot of interest in these type of spaces. There's a lot of hotels by that location as well. So we think that's going to be very receptive. Let's talk about the expense side, the rent. If you go across the 4 years, you'll notice a fluctuation. That's because we were able to negotiate some free rent in year 2 and year 4. So that's why you see the rent actually drops down in year 2 and in year 4, because we were able to negotiate the owner free rent. You see the instructional costs. We're going to need some lab coordinators, and as we continue on and enrollment grows, we'll need a couple of those. In year three, we'll need a full-time IT staff person. There's other costs as well, utilities, et cetera. And then we talk about non-instructional staff. That's linked to the branch campus, where we're going to need people there to offer the similar services or the same services we have at the main campus. That'll build up over time to actually four full-time staff members. But there will also be instances where existing staff at the Poughkeepsie campus will go down to Fishkill maybe one day a week as support services. And then, as I mentioned earlier, those virtual visits will be really important. So this way, if students have a financial aid question, they can connect with the main campus and go into one of those private rooms. So they're talking about personal matters with someone on the main campus. So this will enable us to offer the same services as we do at the main campus. So then we get to net revenue. This is before other savings and revenue. I won't go through all 4 years. Let's just focus on the first year, where we have a $987,000 deficit. What we propose to close that gap is we are committed at DCC to Fishkill expansion will be break even or better. That's our commitment, and we will make that happen. We could end the family partnership lease. That'll save $100,000. Charge a credit card fee. Other SUNY community colleges are doing that now, where students put their tuition on a credit card and there's a convenience fee they charge them. Or if students change their behavior when we implement this charge, that'll save us as well, because it's costing us $160,000 a year, and other SUNY community colleges are doing it now. Other savings lines. This is our commitment that we're going to make sure that this is at least a break-even operation. Savings can come in various ways, but we're looking at vacancies. We're looking at delaying hires. We're looking at not filling positions. If we don't fill positions, that'll carry on to every year. But we're making commitment. It could be non-personnel items as well, that we're going to save that money to make Fishkill break even. That's, I'll say, if necessary. Why I say it's necessary. Remember earlier, I talked about that $2 million operating grant that we've already applied for. We will find out if we get it shortly. That'll produce $666,000 a year. So that's a nice number. We're confident, or we're relatively confident that we can get that grant, and that would certainly put us well into the black at Fishkill. So let me move forward, and then we'll go to questions. Oops. Okay, there we go. So tonight we vote on expansion space and lease extension. We already have an existing lease at Fishkill. We're already there, 47,000 square feet. It's a 15-year lease. We're already completed 5. So what we're proposing tonight is add another 5 to that, which would make that another 15 years. And then the expansion space would be 15. So this way they would be in alignment. We think that makes sense. We'll continue the development of grant proposals. We'll continue the engagement process with stakeholders and advisory groups. The timeline. We're just about complete with the design phase. Our goal was the end of December, and we're on track to do that. If this is approved tonight, we will commence construction probably in February, I would say. Give the owner 30 days to send out bids. They expect the approval from the town of Fishkill will not take very long, a few days at max. The build out will take around 6 months. We'll start to bring equipment in and so forth, installation, and we're targeting an August 2026 opening. Is there questions for Ray and I?
I think there will be a lot of questions, so I will, trustees, if you can just raise your hand if you have questions, it's still open for
Okay,
Mr. Guzman.
where are the numbers coming from for these enrollments? They're concrete numbers you're getting, or this is just where are these numbers coming from?
So we'll work with the admissions folks and enrollment and make projections based on what we think the number of students. We've also met with other community colleges that, for example, that have automotive and talked to them of what we could expect in this region as well. So there's a breakdown of 450 students, about 150 will be from automotive, about 100 from HVAC, and the other 200 will come from business, architecture, and the other programs that are down there.
Earlier, it was alluded that the county had numbers for students, Dutchess County students attending other community colleges. That's not tied to this in any way?
No, not tied to that. What that is there's 710 students last year that lived in Dutchess County that went to another community college in the state. They left Dutchess County, even though they lived there. This year it was 802. So that was a significant jump. It's 92 more students. What we're finding out is that some of these students are leaving because of nursing. Because we're at capacity, and the campus transformation project will take care of that. We'll increase the number of labs we currently have at 4 to 11. So that'll take care of that. Some of it is automotive. Some of it is totally unrelated. Some of it is they didn't do well here at DCC. They no longer are getting financial aid. Now they're going to go to a new county and start their financial aid process all over again. So it's very hard to tell exactly why students are leaving the county, but we know the numbers are going up. That's what we do know.
So to piggyback off that, the 800 students that are going to other colleges, what are the primary zip codes that they're coming from? Are they coming from primarily Southern Dutchess, or are they coming from all over? Are we losing most from the Poughkeepsie area, or is it Fishkill, East Fishkill, Bobbingehurst? Where are they coming from? That's key.
So that.
Yeah, so Columbia Green gets a lot of people in the northern part of the county, so that's what an obvious one. Folks that are close to Orange might go to Orange. But then it's spread throughout the county, and as Dennis mentioned, a lot of this are people who have come here and have lost or on SAP their student financial aid, as they have to restart their financial aid. They really have to go somewhere.
Yes, so these aren't necessarily patients, sorry. Students that we would be able to keep at Fishkill. So one thing that I want to talk about is that on the why expanding matters. Improving access for underserved and transportation limited populations. So if we're talking underserved populations, yet your savings is closing family partnership and ending the lease there, where we've worked so hard to build our relationship with the city of Poughkeepsie. I don't understand how the mission aligns with those two things. I also want to bring up the transportation limited populations. When we had our meeting with student leaders, they spoke about how limited transportation is with public transportation going to the Fishkill site. This is something that was brought up by several students, that you literally have to spend several extra hours there because of how the bus systems work. So how can we say these two things? I'm looking for, help me out here. I'm struggling with those two statements.
I'll get it away. So one of the things that we would end up doing is we would have to make some adjustments in our shuttle system, for example, because we just don't. Right now, we would have to increase the number of times that we run the shuttles back and forth through our various campuses in order to actually accommodate the increase in number of students that would be going down to that Fishkill location. That's one thing that would be that's very true.
So you're thinking that students would come from Poughkeepsie to Fishkill?
Some might. That is correct. Some might.
But if they're already here, are we better off expanding Poughkeepsie as opposed to shuttling them to another location? And then, sorry, and then I want to go back to that $100,000 savings with the Family Partnership Center, because I am really struggling with that. And I think that if that gets out in the community, this could really hurt our relationship with the city of Poughkeepsie. So have there been conversations about closing the partnership center to make up for this deficit? And what is the alternative that we're offering to that very unique population that we serve there? And this is a very underserved population that I think kind of fits exactly what so many of us see as our critical mission as a community college.
Right, so when I mentioned about that as a possibility, I said we could do that. That is not something that we've finalized as a final decision, would have to be discussed with the board. That was an option. We have met, we have a working group that has met and talked about the possibilities of moving them to the main campus. There's probably some political impact with the city of Poughkeepsie and so forth of that. That's not a final decision by any means, but that could be a way to save money. If it's not, then we'll have to commit to find another $100,000 in saving elsewhere. So we have to be committed to make this a balanced operation that's break even or more.
So we already have savings in vacancy factor every year. So I think looking at that as an additional savings, unless you're talking about really holding positions open for a very long period of time, this is not an additional $775,000. This is $775,000 that we see every year based on our budget numbers. I also want to talk about the credit card fees. So I think the statement was made that students might have to change their behaviors, but a lot of students don't have an alternative to putting their tuition on a credit card. A lot of students don't have the ability to write a check for their tuition amount. So I don't think it's a matter of changing behaviors. I think we're going to further tax our students to pay for this.
Okay.
Next question by someone that's not me.
I have
Mr.
some.
DeBrey, thank you.
So the student enrollment is new student enrollment only. You didn't factor in current students, you said. So are the expenses and the revenues based on just the new students, or does those already have the current student population?
It's based on the new.
A new. Can you show us, or can you give us an example of what the deficit would be if you factor in what's there now, along with these for next year? Because I'm looking at just the delta. I didn't know what the whole thing is, because the whole thing gets wrapped into our financial statements at year end.
So right now we have 47,000 square feet at Fishkill. Our lease costs are about $500,000. From what we've seen, our projections, we're running close to break even on that right now. And that would be our goal here as well.
And then next question, sorry. I got that you worked with admissions and talked to other community colleges that have gone through this. I also get the fact that some of the expenses here are because you have high equipment costs, high startup costs. It takes a while for the student enrollment to catch back up with it. So that's why you show more profit in the later years. But following up on what Sheriff Leslie was talking about, if we end the family partnership lease, where do we have those programs here? Because part of the reason we've always done it there is because it's within basically walking distance for some of the students who are there. We're not really in walking distance from City of Poughkeepsie this far over this direction.
Right. I mean, my way of thinking, if you have that much concern about ending the family partnership lease, and this is just my way of thinking, I wouldn't do it. Right. I would continue operating there, and I would find another. It's a $70 million budget. You can find 100,000 another way.
That was my last question.
Okay, next
Just
person.
a quick question.
Mr. Roberts.
On the first floor, Dennis, what is the crosshatched area that's not being used? Is that still open?
Yeah, so that's a space that has rumored to be ShopRite. But that rumor has been going on since February so we're not sure if that's going to be happening as well. But we have been assured by the landlord that we will have our own private entrance and there'll be no.
Space. So the automotive area, orientation wise, so is that towards Route 9 or is that in the back of the building?
Neither. It faces Home Depot. It's the Home Depot, it's the Home Depot side.
So this idea. Sometimes.
I spin myself around all the time.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, hold on, sorry, so the current, the new entry quote unquote, is that the defaulting entry?
So the new entry that exists when you're coming into, when you're driving into Fishkill now, you see
Yeah.
that entry, but you're coming in.
So the pink area is the,
This is where you come in now to the.
okay, got
And
it.
so this is what you see when you're coming in on the driveway.
So that's Route 9 to the right, that's I-84 to the top.
Yeah. Now I get it.
Question.
Sure.
You had mentioned that the lease right now is like at a break-even point, so we opened that 2 years ago, correct? If I'm remembering correctly, that's when the ribbon cutting was for mechatronics.
Oh, the mechatronics with money country.
21.
We opened in 2021.
I'm just curious, like historical data, having had the aviation program, were we running similar, like were we running very big deficit for just, comparing apples and apples, like we have these existing programs that have these high upfront costs, and then what is the data that compares? I'm not explaining this well, but we probably had deficits in those as well. Is there something to show us that there's a break-even point historically for us?
At Fishkill, yes, I mean, we certainly have the last 4 years to work off of, and we can show that. Of
And
how-
I'm sure too with the aviation program
Right.
as well.
Aviation's a little different.
Aviation's been
The
extremely
equipment there-
successful.
the equipment there was by surplus.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Super
I do
low,
remember
Super
that
low,
now.
That's why.
See, this all predates me.
No, the cost of redoing the building were also borne by county and state combined too. The county government had already run a water line there. That was also a big expense that we didn't have to absorb because it wasn't a potable water.
Okay,
This was on county.
Because a little bit apples and oranges, but I know what you're saying. Yeah, because that was a big expense up front. Just we weren't working with a landlord like this because the county owns the
Right.
airport.
okay.
Other questions?
Quick question, what happens financially if the grants don't burn and you don't find the savings that you're projecting? What happens?
Well, first of all, we're hopeful that the grants happen, which would put us in the black. The second thing is we're committed to the savings. I mean, as a board, right, if we move forward with this, I would be asking us to show what the savings are and produce the savings. Because we're saying right here, we're committed to it. And we're gonna run a balanced budget there and it's gonna be in the book or be in the black. So as a board, you need to hold us accountable as well, right? That we need to show you these savings. The savings are gonna happen. Just like with any other program, if there was a deficit, right now, we would use fund balance as we've done it in the past year. But that's not what we want to do though.
Yeah, of course, don't want to do that. I'm just thinking, if it doesn't occur, so where does the money come from? Does it come from fund balance, does it come from county, from the state? The money tree? That's not sure.
Right, we're not counting on the additional money for the county as part of this, no.
No,
That
you're
would be
not.
great.
You're not counting on it, but
No,
is
not
that a
counting.
possibility? If we don't get these savings and grants?
Well, that would be up to the legislature, but yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't expect that.
I have a quick question. This is sort of academic, but with architecture and business construction moving to that campus, so it becomes a branch campus. Would there be liberal arts classes taught as well, or architecture, because that's a degree that requires knowledge of history, art, other stuff too.
Right, we
Not
would
just
have to,
technical.
we would have to offer, because if we're saying we're offering a full degree, we would have to offer the full degree. So in other words, they would have to be able to take all their general education classes at the physical locations.
So then if that's going on down there, then that means that some other students who are staying HVAC could also take some of those courses. Business courses as well, they're offered there so they can learn to write a business plan to their own companies.
And they're already doing that now with our customer service class down there. So they're the current ACR students, and that's actually incorporated into the new degree. So that's.
So for architecture, would those classes be, with the liberal arts, lack of a better term, classes be taught in the architecture classrooms area, or would this be another spaces that you showed us on the second floor?
Yes,
Oh,
it could be. Because I would say all rooms are up for grabs in that sense. In other words, we'd be able
because you have
to.
flex space.
Right, and we would be able to do that. It would depend on, for example, some of our departments, like the English department, for example, does a lot of themed courses in the English 101. So if they decided to have some type of themed course in relation to architecture and construction, they might decide that the architecture space might be a good space to have that class. So I think that's something that the departments would be able to work together on to make a determination if that makes sense.
Mr. Caswell.
Do you have some preliminary thoughts on the fee structure? I see, by year 4, you've got 720,000 for automotive and HVAC fees. So these are fees in addition to the regular tuition.
Yes,
So do you have rough estimates on how much that's gonna cost the student to go through these programs?
yeah, it'd be $100 a credit, that's what we're based it on.
$100 a credit
Yes.
per semester? Per,
Yes.
okay, so $200 a year times. Okay.
No, per credit.
Per
Credit.
Per
Per
credit.
credit, so an
Yeah.
average class would be 3 credits, so it's an additional $300.
I think that's reasonable, that these are premium programs, that we know students are traveling long distances to take these programs at other places. And we think that's a reason.
And in some cases, do employers pay these costs for upskill training?
In
Yeah.
some cases, yeah.
And I know electric cars are the biggest thing now too. I mean, is this automotive program both gasoline and
Yes,
electric?
yes,
So do we have storage facilities outside? Because my understanding is you can't store electric cars and batteries inside the building. So do we have outside storage units or some arrangement there? And is that included?
Rob will answer that, yeah.
Yes, that was the discussion of having outdoor storage with a rooftop on it. All the batteries will be stored outside. As you said, nothing electric batteries or anything of that nature will be stored inside the building.
And that outside facility is included within these numbers, the lease
Yes.
costs and
That's
things?
part of the.
The landlord is constructing that, or is that something we need to construct?
The landlord will.
Yeah, it's part of the letter of intent.
We're given so many parking spaces anyways, part of the lease, I remember. So some of them will be covered for stores, what you're saying.
Frank, Dara, anything?
Yeah, I have a few questions.
You go ahead.
Charging stations incorporated into this as well? What's the fitment? What's the cost of the fitment overall in here? I know there's going to be a strong need for tooling, technology, and just the oversight on the IT side, not having somebody there for 2 years. I think it's impossible to do, especially when you're on campus up here. You can't expect it to be down there. So I'm just wondering, technology wise, what's the cost of the fitment? You're gonna obviously have to invest heavily into infrastructure. That's all rolled into the lease, and the landlord's going to take over that burden.
It's a $10 million build out. And the landlord will cover all of those costs. We currently run the IT operation through a ticket system, and we have people from the main campus go down to Fishkill quite often. And that will continue. We don't think immediately we need a full-time person there for the whole day because it's working well now, but that could be adjusted. Well, the need is higher.
So square footage right now on the second floor, 47,000 square feet, 500,000 is the estimate on that. What's the estimate on the first floor? Because I would imagine that the first floor is more of a premium typically.
It's the same rate. So for both floors together, it's 854,000.
Instructors, one of the major concerns we've had here, particularly with the nursing program, is finding instructors of this pay scales. Imagine these in-demand trade industries are just the same. Finding instructors, how do we estimate that will be rolled into this? Is it going to be a challenge for us? Have we had those conversations in the community?
We have had those conversations actually in the automotive and HVAC program, actually those advisory councils. We've actually been having those conversations from the jump, because that's actually been one of, that's what keeps me up at night, actually. Same thing I dealt with the nursing program recently. It's the same kind of thing. It's very difficult to find faculty in those spaces. And so that is something that we talk about. We've been talking with those councils to help us identify actual faculty members who would actually want to be able to come over and teach for us, either part-time. Some might come over full-time. We even talked about the possibility of, for example, sharing employees. So for example, having them come and teach a class for us in the middle of the day, because that's actually the struggle that we have actually across the board, across all of our disciplines. It's very hard to find folks who can teach in the middle of the day. So we run into that everywhere. So it's something that it's on the forefront of my mind as far as and that's actually the end of our programs. As we go to expand, how do we find more qualified faculty, but especially in these technical groups, it's true.
The comment was made about space here on campus. I don't think space was ever an issue here on campus for labs. And that comment was made, and I just don't see that being relevant. The issue is always instructors, at least that's what I've been told, that whenever I've asked that question here. So it's difficult to get those instructors. I can see that in the space. So it's a challenge just knowing what the market is like out there. Tech updates and tooling, I have to think that in this industry, it has to be constant and daily. And I'm obviously not in that world, that industry, but I'm close enough to it to know that the challenges in that space with IT, it's electric vehicles, technology in vehicles, you're dealing with a lot of partnerships. Are there any partnerships that we're thinking of honing in on or have explored with particular companies? I know Rockland is with Ford and Subaru. Have we explored those partnerships at all?
Yep, so in our automotive, for example, we've had folks from Toyota, Honda, Subaru. A lot of the OEMs have been participating in these meetings. The same thing with HVAC, Daikin, and so on. So we brought them on early because we knew that we were going to need some help from them in order not only to provide some of the equipment needs that we need for the programs, but also actually helping us find instructors, because they're actually going to be the source for us to figure out who can help teach these programs, especially when it gets to, like, for example, a Toyota. If we were down the road to go to a Toyota T10, for example, that's a very specific, automotive technology program, and we would need very specific folks in order to be able to teach them those programs.
Who were the individuals that served in the advisory committee from the industries?
I'm pointing at Bob. He's one of them. He's been coming, I think he's made every meeting that we've had. So we've had folks not only from the OEMs, but we've also had folks from local industries participating.
I was the only independent garage though, but
Yeah.
And this is gonna be a car-based, and if I may, if you don't mind. So corporate Snap-on is there. Corporate ASE certification is there. So this program, all the manufacturers from the area, all the major players and all the major dealer owners were there. Talking about this, Mike McKay or Mulaney, yes. So all these guys were there, Honda, Toyota, Subaru, corporate. So with that, the college was looking to seek out and have OEMs provide motors, transmissions, and hardware for us to work on. And to teach and to learn. With corporate Snap-on, I'm sure there'll be automatic upgrades that they would include with that. So that build out of Snap-on equipment with the lifts and all, which they had double the lifts. We went a year and a half moving this stuff around. But that $1.5 million or something is going to be covered by the lease. So that's all top shelf. There's Snap-on toolboxes, all equipped. They're gonna have, the tools in them. They're gonna be matted so that if there's something missing, something will pop right up to the instructor. There's a lot storage area for, and heavy duty shelving for engines and transmissions, hybrid vehicles. Some of the lifts will be heavier for the electric and the hybrid vehicles as well.
And we did something similar with HVAC, for example, T. Weber JNS on a number of our local industry partners who are our HVAC industry have been participating as well. We're very intentional and wanted at those meetings because we couldn't have created the new associate's degree in HVAC without them. They were actually instrumental in us crafting what those programs, what that program looks like, and they're doing something very similar to the automotive programs that we're working.
What's budgeted to keep up with that technology? I alluded to it before, but knowing that it changes so frequently, that some of these tools are obsolete in a couple of years, and you're constantly going back to get updates and that, what's budgeted going forward to maintain that expense and cost?
Well, one of the things that we're focusing on equipment is grants. We already have $1.5 million in hand. We've already received from the county and the state. And we'll continue to pursue those. If you notice, when we talked about that additional $5 million, that'll cover a lot of the equipment as well. So we're confident in the equipment piece that we'll be able to find outside sources for that.
Marketing budget. What do we have for a marketing budget for this? We've got to get students in the seats. How are we recruiting?
We're looking about 100,000.
What line item is that rolled into?
It's rolled into the utility other line.
And I've got a lot of other questions. I don't want to capitalize time. I think it's important that we do this right. I can speak on behalf of the business community. We want this so bad, we can taste it. We need it so bad. We just want to do it right. That's
And I apologize to those of you sitting here. This is going to be a lengthy discussion. This is not, I think that there's the perception of some that this board is a rubber stamp to the administration. I can tell you that is not the case at all. Every single person sitting up here is deeply committed to making sure that the decisions made are in the best interest of the college as well as the community. So this is going to continue for, I think, a while, because I think there's a lot of questions that still haven't been out. Darryl, did you?
Everybody's asking all the questions I
Okay.
know. We were just discussing the rental income. Is that realistic? To think that that space will get used by hotels or businesses in the area?
It already has outside groups coming in. There's a real estate group that comes in on a regular basis. We need to right size the charging on that. I think right now we do a lot of complimentary things and so forth, and we generate some rental income, but it isn't very much. But when we have a world-class event center and conference area, we believe strongly that that's going to attract people that are going to want to use it. We think that $10,000 in the first year is so in a rental fee.
Another question you just maybe raised now, as someone who attends lots and lots and lots of conferences, there's always catering involved. You go to a space, so where do we get food for lunch? Is it just coming from an outside source in that area?
It could be Chartwell's, there's a couple options there.
Does that affect your campus agreement with your current food service provider? Does it have to be that provider? That campus be covered?
Normally, they have right of first refusal. We work with them very closely on a lot of issues. And normally, they waive that right. If we want to bring someone else in and cater the food, they usually say it's okay. But they do have the right. That contract ends in 27. So we'll be looking forward to this space doesn't open until 26, late in 26.
Dennis, you made the comment, world-class facilities, and maybe I'm missing it. I don't think companies or, groups are looking to the Fishkill site of Dutchess Community College for their event space. So that comment of, really having this extravagant space, is that something that we need? Or are there things in this project that can be scaled down?
Well, we've looked at it as a way to attract outside businesses to the campus. And the fact that the landlord's paying for the build out plays into it, right? Plays into our thinking, right? That we're not, it would be different if we were paying for it.
I think that's dangerous thinking because nothing is free. So we're still paying for it. Like, just them paying for it up front, we're paying for it on the back end. And their expensiveness is something that we will more than pay for over the cost of the lease. Correct. Yeah, I mean,
So you're saying that you don't think the event space is a good idea, that maybe we should repurpose it for something else?
well, I think my question is how much of this is truly necessary? I think that this board really feels that the automotive and HVAC systems are both really important to get there. Is the rest necessary now? Do we have to move forward with the rest of this? Or can this be a scaled down project?
I guess that's possible, of course. Of course, it's possible.
Has it been looked at to finance some of this ourselves rather than rolling into the lease and do a comparison on? Give us the space blank, we'll do the build out, what's it gonna cost us now to finance this, is it going to be more effective, cost effective for us to do it that way?
As a community college, we can't take on debt. We would have to work with the legislature to,
There was some challenges in how that would be priced.
Also, the state money wouldn't be investing on capital improvements. That's the plan we have.
right,
Yeah, so this is something we're always gonna have to pay for because we don't own the space.
we don't own it.
Anyone else?
Well, I think some of what I'm hearing is, and I hate this term as being a planning board chair, but it's been value engineering. There's been an attempt to go through and reduce costs here and there so that even though the landlord's paying it, so that our lease payments would not be as high for rent. I know we got a discount the second and fourth years, but this is a much longer.
Well,
lease than
there's
4
also,
years.
Michael, too, there's a 40% discount on the lease from the state, right? That's included.
That's
Helping
they pay for
tremendously.
that, on a discount, they pay for
Yeah.
Right, the actual lease cost is $1.3 million, $1.4 million, but
Yep.
the state is kicking in 40%, so it cuts it down to 854,000.
My question remains, is there been any attempt to make it down to 700,000?
You mean negotiate further?
Not really negotiate. Michael, do you want to explain value engineering? Trying to slice off costs here and there from.
That answer in terms of what the capital improvement would be. I mean, that can certainly always be looked at in any construction project.
In other words, when I hear world class in a degraded building like that.
Yeah.
I worry about the investment now coming through there that it doesn't pay off in the long run, put it that way. For example, the new hotel across this Coiner Institute campus. That building was value engineered. Things had to go down because the cost when it came in was too high for what they'd agreed upon to do. So there was dental all the way around the building. That's a huge building. The dental had to be done in certain pieces for us, the planning board, to say, okay, we're gonna let that go. Which none of us wanted to because it makes it even prettier, but it looks fine. Trust me, that saved them $1.3 million. Just that one entity because it had to be hand done. So in other words, engineers will go through and take a look and to see if we think the costs are so high. Is there a way to reduce costs here and then? That's not mean to make it cheap and flimsy. It just means, are there flourishes, furbelows, trims that don't necessarily need to be in there?
Less embellishments.
Less embellishments. That's what I was trying to say. So that's when I hear world class, I'm like,
Yeah.
Well, that would have to be negotiated with the landlord as well, right?
I mean, it's in their interest to have the best stuff because when we leave, they've got a nice classroom, showroom where we're going to show. But that shouldn't be our interest to leave them a better asset. We should be looking at, again, what's the bottom line for our students? And I share everybody else. Maybe it's just me and Angela, but I share that we don't want to charge students credit card fees. Not at a community college. Particularly with students who can't afford to do anything except put it on a credit card, I have to pay interest on that anyway already. So that's my view. There are other ways, as you said, to find savings. I'm not worried about that. It's just, I think that's not a great area for us to show.
Yeah, just a quick question, timeline wise, in terms of the town. I've heard a couple of days. Has the landlord, where is the landlord in the process of working with the town in terms of the change use and things of that nature, you know, they, is going to the plan board or not going to the plan board? Because certainly the change use, which is something usually under the purview.
The use is already allowed. We don't say that. The use is already permitted. That's why we have the campus there now. They would go before the planning board because they need a building permit to do those bays, the base outside, so exterior change requiring a building permit. Otherwise, most of this is interior would even require, would be building permit, but not planning board.
Yeah, I don't know that the existing use is retail is going to educational,
And that was already changed. It was already changed.
Yeah.
the whole building.
That whole building is allowed for both uses, mixed uses.
Okay, mixed use.
Yeah, the landlord has been involved
Good.
heavily in the process, and they have a chief construction person who's involved in the process, working with us. And they've assured us that if we give a go, we're 30 days out from starting.
That might be ambitious, but pleasant.
So if I can jump in, if we're offering a degree, if we do this expansion, et cetera, essentially you're having to duplicate the main campus. To offer the right programs, the right courses that you would need to take to finish a degree from each individual program here. What, I don't see where in your numbers as far as where are we getting that staff? Or are you asking the staff here, and by staff, I'm sorry, I mean professors, I mean faculty, everything to go down, either duplicate that or ask the folks here and say, okay, you're going down there Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
So if you look at the spreadsheet, the last expense is non-instructional staff branch campus. So we would add 4 staff members full-time. We would add an IT person. And we would also bring people from the main campus. And we would use the virtual visits as we discussed. So all those things. And we've shopped this with the people at SUNY, regulators, and this is certainly within the preview of being in a branch campus where you can do these things like virtual. And other places do this all the time where they have branch campuses and they send the current staff to that campus. Not every, a lot of times it's on Friday. And everybody at that campus knows that that's the day where all the resources are going to be available. So we think that can work.
So looking at our current architecture cohort, where do most of those students live? Is this something that we're gonna make it more difficult? Like, are most of the students in Poughkeepsie and Hyde Park? And now we're gonna say drive to Fishkill. Where do they live right now?
So we have a few students who are north of Poughkeepsie, but a lot of them are in between the Poughkeepsie and Fishkill space, actually, when you look at the numbers by zip codes.
Do you have that? Can we get that? I would find that. No, that's something, I mean,
Not right
I'm a numbers person, like, I need to see that, I need to make sure that we're not making a program more difficult for the students that it's serving. Because the last thing that I wanna do is move this to Fishkill and students say, no, this is inconvenient, I'm gonna go to another college now, because I don't wanna drive to Fishkill every day from Pine Plains.
Or public transportation, to your point.
Correct. The public transportation is not working, and I mean, I don't think we're gonna have, no. And, I don't know how many more shuttle buses we're gonna buy, but, I mean. I think that it's as Frank said, program that is so desperately needed. But I don't want our desire to do this and have this yesterday, like it was needed, cloud the judgment of what is in the best interest of DCC. Because I think that there's a lot of numbers in your proposals that are very unrealistic, in my opinion. And I think that the savings, like Michael and I have already said, we're not on board with 250,000 in the savings that you came up with. And personally, I think the 775 is already there, so I'm not seeing the million in savings now. So we all want to move forward with HVAC and automotive, but we want to do it in the right way.
And I see some challenges when you described, on Friday, everybody comes down, but you're running some of these other programs on Monday and Wednesday, or Tuesday, and Thursday. So it's gonna be, I think, a challenge to coordinate getting the people the services they need on the right days.
Right.
So again, how realistic is it?
If someone is an instructor in HVAC or an instructor in automotive, what is the educational requirement to be a part-time instructor?
What's the educational requirement?
Yeah.
Right now, we expect folks to have at least a bachelor's degree. What happens is we look for folks who also have the certifications that are industry. That's the big thing that I look for when we're looking to hire new folks, is do they have industry recognized credentials? Because that's actually the more important aspect of it than
100%. My concern is, do they have to have the degree, the college degree that they might not have in order to teach here?
right. Well, we have to expect that they have those degrees. I can't hire them without a degree.
I think that's gonna be really,
So
so
it is hard. It is hard to do. It's even hard to do sometimes with nurses, but yeah, it's very, but we have to have, they have.
well, I mean, in nursing, you at least, like, there's
Yeah, I
a
agree.
lot of people that have master's, doctorates.
Right. But
My
you're right.
concern is these
Automotive
are not
It's gonna be.
careers where it's, I don't think that there's stipends for going out and getting, your bachelor's or getting your master's. So how have we identified that we have instructors that have, that the educational requirements to teach at BCC?
That's where we rely on our colleagues that are in the industry, and we're also looking frankly at other institutions to see how they handle finding faculty, because it's hard. It is hard to do. Even if we were all on board with starting the program, it's like, it would be difficult to track down these instructors. That's just across the board. Automotive is one of the hardest areas to actually try to fill faculty vacancies.
Are other community colleges running a deficit in these? Are they fully staffed in the area, like our comparative colleges?
Rockland, most of Rockland faculty, they're small, but they're running a deficit. Yeah, well, as far as the number of faculty they have the faculty, but they're lean and mean, I think is the best way to look at it. They tend to use a lot of part-time faculty. And that's just these programs across the board. They tend to have maybe 1 or 2 full-timers, but then it's a lot of part-time staff.
So how do we expect to go live in 7-8 months?
Oh,
By the answer you just gave us, we're going live in August 2026. How is that possible?
Automotive, we can't do that. Automotive would be, we're starting automotive. If we were to start August 26th, it would be non-credit offerings, because if we're all in agreement now, it wouldn't get state approval in time.
That's just HVAC that you're gonna start at 2026.
So any type of certificate, credit certificate or degree program would not be able to start until fall 27. So it would be fall 26 would be non-credit offerings, things like ASC certifications, those kinds of things. Those are things that we can start with to begin with automotive. HVAC, we already have the approval for, we already have the certificate anyway, and the degree has already been approved by the state. So we can start operating, we already have that.
So let's talk about Rockland's lean and mean program. That's been in existence for how long?
I'd say about it. I'd say they have about 200 students enrolled this fall.
Okay. So my concern is if qualified faculty are so limited, how are we expecting to grow at the projections that we have it?
That will be tough.
And that's where I think we have these projections, which look really nice on paper, But I think we're struggling to get the substantive answers behind them. Tonight. Frank, you had your hand up.
I just felt like we bought ourselves a little time with knowing that this wouldn't officially be kicked off, at least for the automotive. Until 2027. Can we table this conversation pending deeper dive conversation in this? Put that motion on the vision.
So this is currently just
Yeah.
in workshop, so there is no
There is no
resolution
table,
at the
yeah.
moment.
There's nothing to table.
But what are the ramifications if we don't move forward tonight with these programs?
Serious. We won't be able to make the deadline for August 26th. It was already tight. There's no guarantee that the space will be available. We wait any longer. I mean, I expect the landlord will pull the architect from us. Because I think they were under the impression that this would be approved. Even though we told them there's no guarantee. So it would have serious implications. We would have to think about an August 27 opening, maybe, if it was still available. I also think that all the people that have worked on this project for a long time will be impacted as well with them. This is a major decision point, and I appreciate all the questions that we've wrestled with a lot of these things ourselves. We think it's best to move forward, but it would have serious implications.
What would happen to the corporate partnerships that we have, like you were mentioning, Subaru, Toyota, et cetera? Do we think, I mean, they're in our county, is there an impression that they might support a different community college in the area? Would we risk losing them?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of both advisory groups are looking forward to it, excited about this. They put 2 years of their time into this project. And they want to move forward, and they're excited about the students that are going to come out and work for them when this is over. So obviously it's going to have reputational risk for us, that we've worked on all this project and the board didn't approve it.
So. Not to speak for all my colleagues, but I think what I've heard is we want to move forward with HVAC and automotive. We are not comfortable at this time moving forward with this full project. So when the resolution comes up for a vote at the board meeting, if there is a motion to table brought forward, as I have a strong feeling my colleague, Mr. Casella, will make, I think what we're going to need is a breakdown of just HVAC and automotive at the Fishkill site. Not moving everything else down, not having world-class conference space, just what do we need to do to serve the needs of the community and to get these programs that we all agree we really want. But I don't know if we're all sold on everything else. So I don't know how everyone feels about that.
Well, just to point out that if we can continue these discussions.
Yeah.
With you guys, talking, again, looking at reducing the overall cost. Then we can always have a special meeting in January just to consider a run item. I mean, I haven't seen any of this. This is my first time to see all of this tonight. I'm just literally head of personnel. This is not a personnel issue, so that's why my first question was about the number, how the enrollment was established, how it was projected. I fully trust all of you, Scott. Ever since we've had Scott working versus the institutional research, we have been better able to nail down growth in enrollment, loss, et cetera. So I'm not questioning your numbers. It's just, this is a lot for us to absorb, at least for me to absorb tonight. And I'm usually what I believe in investing. I still do. This represents an investment. And then we also have kept the fund balance higher than usual so we could deal with investments like this. So I would normally be comfortable moving forward, but I'm sensing that there's not enough of me around here to continue on at least tonight. That's what I'm suspecting. So.
Well, I think I feel more similar to you in the sense that if we're gonna discuss this now. You have to spend money to make money.
Yep.
And I look at, I mean, I'm so excited by what this is. And being from Pine Plains, I know that Dutchess Community College located here doesn't get very many of us. For many reasons, but the biggest one I've heard, and my kids are all, have gone through this themselves, they just give up. We tried to get a satellite campus. We had this idea that there were enough people in town to field one class in, you know, business, office, computing, Word, all that. And this is back when Pamela was president, and pretty much investigated it and told that that was never gonna happen. And my point to her at the time was, well, I can't get, with babysitting and everything else, I can't get people down to Hyde Park, I just can't. So they just gave up. Cause they're depressed. Because there's no opportunities, there's all this psychological stuff that's got to do with things that are out of our financial control. So, and there's no bus. We're left out in the cold up there, honestly. And there's no difference between driving here and driving to Fishkill. You go down the Taconic and you take a right. Or you go down to the Taconic and take a right a little sooner. It's the same. So what I think what I'm feeling really strongly is this is such an opportunity. It's such a great idea. We have to make it work. And I know that these numbers may not be so truthful. Maybe a little pie in the sky. Can we figure out a way to think about it that isn't about, we gotta make money? We have to always make money. Can we not? Well, I mean, can we not give Dutchess County and our people something incredibly valuable that's going to actually pay us back in jobs and people staying? And that's my emotional and not particularly, intellectual response to all this.
What you're talking about is something that many of the legislators over the years have grappled with. Back in 2008, the last time Democrats held the majority in the legislature, they're the ones who cut the bus service to the east. It's a service that was losing money. So after a point, you look at how much resources you have, and you say, where can we continue to offer this resource because there's enough people who are full of privation who are using it, because it was so low that it wasn't helping enough people to justify how much rent it gives to. So, and I mean, I mentioned because the Democrats, because everyone was like, the Democrats can't do that. Well, they did.
Yeah.
Because we could be financially responsible as well. So I think when you look at something like this, again, this is an investment as far as I'm concerned, and we do have the money right now in fund balance. We have, as our faculty has noted, we've had a very large fund balance. The question is if we keep running deficits year after year after year, we don't have a college. You can't just always stay in the red because you're offering a good service. No matter how good the services may be and how uplifting it can be for individuals, because you can't, the institution will die if it stays in the red. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know that.
Has it been investigated to move some of this here on campus? And that was not an option. I would take it at just the cost to do a full build out. Isn't to move what? This concept. Or some of this concept.
All the workforce stuff.
Yeah.
Mechatronics, everything.
So if I may, so part of my my challenge is that what we have been focused on is a master plan that was discussed even before I arrived here. Right. And one of the questions that I have for the board is, are we still committed to that? I know, we are committed to, HVAC and to automotive. But there is also an opportunity here. We have, or will have, 50 students coming out of Wappingers, Poughkeepsie, and other school districts that will be focused on ELP, which is built at the Fishkill Center. So yes, we can take a piecemeal approach to it, because that will make us all feel more comfortable, and that's not a problem. But we have to make a decision about, are we committed to this facility? Because if we're not, then we shouldn't invest further in it. I was of the assumption, based on everything that I've heard from the county, from the board, although this board has transformed since I arrived, that there is a commitment to developing Fishkill. And so that's an important commitment that this current board needs to make at this point as well. So yes, we can step back, we can focus on two of those areas, but we also need to know where we are going.
So a plan, as I say every year when we pass our capital program, a plan is a plan. Plans change. Plans have to be flexible enough that you can understand that the economy changes, that our community changes, that the needs of programs change. So am I comfortable saying everything in the master plan is something that we are going to do? Absolutely not. But I think that we have a strong commitment to building up the in-demand, career-centered programs that we're talking about here and really expanding that. How the rest of things look, I think that remains to be seen. And I think that that's a decision that this board needs to make, and it needs to be fully informed of. And that's what I want to be sure everyone here is comfortable that we're about to, we're voting on something with a lease until 2040. So we're making a decision for the next 15 years. So if people aren't comfortable with that tonight, I'm not going to push that forward. And I don't want it to be portrayed, if this is tabled tonight, that we defeated it. No, we want to make sure this works, and we want to make sure that this works in the best interest of Texas. Any further conversation?
I just want to point out that part of this discussion was because the resolutions were not passed out of finance.
Correct.
When the way the committee structure works, so everybody else up there knows, the way we work is we trust each other. That if this group on finance says, hey, this is a good idea, we'll ask questions, but usually we'll go with their recommendation. Because there was no recommendation to move forward, that's what caused this brouhaha.
I did not feel that it was something, normally if something doesn't come out of committee, it dies there. I was not comfortable with 3 people in finance and facilities making the decision. I felt that this needed to be something that came before the full board, that the full board got to hear all of the specifics, that the public got to hear all of this, and then we would move forward. And I think moving forward can be in several different ways. Anything further? All right, thank you. Moving on to the liaison report of the DCC.
Before we do, I do want to thank Ray and Dennis and the entire team for all of the effort and work that put into this. So much appreciated. Thank you.
DCC Foundation report.
Certainly. Uh, So we have a resolution this evening that we will take a look at for the appointment of Anna Para for interim executive director here in the foundation. A search for a new executive director will take place here in the new year. We have received a total of over $183,000 in gifts in the last several months. So foundation has been quite busy, and that is really great to hear. I have a whole list of them all. If anybody would like to see them, just to see what they are, I'd be happy to share that with you, but just in lieu of time, I'm not going to read them all off. Some fundraising efforts, year-end appeal has been sent out for 2025. The 2026 campaign, campus campaign has raised $12,000 here on campus through a combination of payroll pledges and one-time gifts from 23 generous members, with 9 new contributors this year. Individuals here on the family on campus. And I think that was very important to note. I asked them to give me that specifically because it's little known that the campus and the faculty are very generous and contribute annually to this. The campus community raised $2,245 in a very short time in response to the SNAP disruption and crisis that was ongoing here in our community to help support. Through a grant, the RTX Pratt Whitney grant funds will be used to purchase graphic calculators here on campus for the Science Center. It'll also provide 3 scholarships for DCC students studying in the STEM field. A request was made to create a space for students who are parents, where their children can stay and be engaged with toys and books and art, so that way those parents can study. Great concept and idea. This was funded through the JED Foundation's JED Campus Collaborative Student Parents Grant. Alumni relations engagement. The engineering and electrical technology alumni reunion was held in Poughkeepsie last month with 74 attendees, which is quite nice to see their engagement, including Edward Carbone, who was the very first graduating class back in 1958. The attendee, right.
Congratulations, that's great.
Including an attendee all the way from Houston, Texas. The alumni website was updated. The Alumni Hall of Fame plaques have been relocated to Bound Hall to accommodate for more space. Some upcoming events that we ask that you please note. I should actually say, rephrase that and say one was in the past tense. That was the 53rd annual Holiday Craft Fair, received $11,000 from the Quail Hollow events. 103 vendors were in attendance. The auction raised $1,300. Saw over 3,000 attendees. Save the date for the Community to Bridge a Future Gala is Saturday, March the 28th at the Grandview. We do have some incredible honorees and inductees. 2026 Alumni Hall of Fame inductees will be Philomena Finelli, class of 96, Ray Frida, posthumously, class of 88. Bernard Handel Community Leadership Award will go to G. Angela Henry. She is also the executive director for the Poughkeepsie City School District Foundation, really great philanthropist here in the community, and also well known to the community, receiving the Bridge to the Future Award, Samuel Gale son.
Wow, going on.
Thank you.
The association.
So this report is not based on a recent meeting that will be held in January, but just to give some updates. There are 22 new students in the residence hall who were confirmed in the spring, which is the same number we had last year at the same time. Given that we had nearly 30 more students in the hall this fall, we expect the number of returning students to be higher than it was last year. The association continues to work with a small working group with M&T Bank to revamp our bond. And we actually expect to refinance now sometime early in the new year. I want to give kudos to Donna, Scott, Dennis, and Peter about this process because they had more patience than I did. I want to just point out that the M&T Bank representatives were at times not belligerent, but pretty harsh to us. We're trying to get information to them that we kept trying to give them. But at any rate, that representative who was sometimes the sneering worst was actually on campus yesterday. He couldn't have been nicer. Visited everything, saw us, actually told us, we want to let you know we were giving you credit all the time. We just couldn't let you know for your effort. We couldn't tell you that. But you could have avoided my snark, a long time ago, you just said nice things and threw what comes along the way. But the good news is that, the refinancing should help us stabilize, so that we have a little bit of a drop in enrollment. It's not gonna hurt us like we were ready to croak last time, so it's been a good job. Thank you all. That's it. Any questions?
All right, that ends our workshop session. I'm gonna ask for just a
5-minute break.
2-3 minute break, just to allow everybody to stretch for, right? For those of us that have been sitting there for a few hours. 9, meeting of the Board of Trustees to order. Foxborough, please call the roll.
Mr. Frank Costello,
Present.
Mr. Stephen Caswell,
Present.
Miss Dara Cloud,
Here.
Mr. Michael Dupree,
Divide again here.
Dr. Angela Flesland,
I'm gonna go here.
Not there.
Miss Lisa Gardy, Mr. Ibis Guzman,
Present.
Mr. Michael McCormick,
Here.
Miss Linda Pratt.
Yeah.
Mr. Ryan Shook. Quorum present.
Here's how.
Here's how.
We're here. All right, begin with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. For public comment tonight, we have 2 members of the public that signed up to speak on agenda items. We have, we'll start with Dr. Laura Murphy. Then go to Dr. Aiken.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Dr. Laura Murphy, Duke President and Chief Negotiator, Professor of History. I'm speaking first about Resolution 2026-30, the approval of the MOA with due regarding the 2025-29 part-time contract. I'm pleased to report that the part-time due membership has voted to approve the agreement. I'm glad, as I was with the full-time, that due and the college negotiating team reached an agreement on the part-time contract, even though we were unable to make progress on due proposals that are so critical to excellent student learning conditions. I believe the part-time agreement is a step in the right direction. However, I think it is important to note the fact that by the end of this contract in 2029, DCC will not have made any progress toward closing the part-time faculty pay gap for nearly a decade. Many students and community members care about this issue. At the October 28th board meeting, many K-12 faculty and several area union presidents, along with elected officials and candidates for elected office who since won their races, showed up to support our campaign to make progress toward closing the pay gap. Students and community members we have talked with understand what it means that faculty and staff working conditions are student learning conditions. They recognize that the terms of our due collective bargaining agreements are critically important to determining the quantity and quality of time that faculty and staff can spend teaching and supporting students. That time and those relationships are foundational to students' educational experience. In order to provide an excellent education to our students, DCC must prioritize investing in educators. This means achieving equity for part-timers, and it also means creating sufficient tenure-track faculty lines to support our students and programs. DCC has the lowest number of full-time faculty in decades, and the proportion of full-time positions that are temporary full-time has been increasing significantly. TFT positions are not the answer. They are another level of unsustainable exploitation. As we move forward, I hope that you will come to share Duke's position that there is no more important investment DCC can make in our students' education than providing adequate staffing, equitable livable wages and affordable benefits, and sustainable working conditions for all DCC educators. Regarding Resolution 2026, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, approval of early retirement requests for Dana Weidman, Sandra DeGuzman, Tina Kiernan, Barbara Delansky, and Dr. Joseph Allen. On behalf of DU, I thank our colleagues very much for their many years of devoted service to DCC and to our students. We wish them all the best. Thank you.
Laura, so I just want to say, Laura and I wrote our statements completely separately. I had no idea what she was going to say. You'll hear some common grace. In case there are people present who are unfamiliar with me and my years with DCC, my name is Leah Akins. I'm a full professor and I teach engineering and technology. I hold a PhD in electrical engineering and have taught college classes at DCC and elsewhere since 1982. I started at DCC as a part-time faculty member in January 1990. Since that time, I have been a part of so many aspects of DCC's work in the classroom, in governance, in the community, and in the union.
While I fully support the approval of the MOA negotiated between DU and the college for the replacement contract covering the part-time faculty and staff, I'm also profoundly disappointed in this board for refusing to take even the smallest step toward pay equity for part-time faculty. As I mentioned, I started as a part-time faculty member. I think it's essential to understand how a highly qualified and educated individual comes to be a part-time faculty member. But the reasons are as complex and diverse as the human experience. How I became an adjunct is no simpler short story, but it includes the rescinding of an offer for a full-time, highly paid IBM research position because of a misogynistic laden decision to stop me from completing my PhD. A degree I eventually completed following a sexual harassment claim made by my dissertation chair on a faculty member as a result of a horrific scene that faculty member made during my dissertation defense. So yes, the reasons our highly qualified and educated part-time faculty and staff are in a part-time position are often complicated, nuanced, personal, and challenging. Additionally, it is no coincidence that a majority of part-time education workers nationally come from underprivileged groups, and I would put women at the top of that list. In fact, here at DCC, our dual-eligible part-time workforce is close to 60% women. The gender pay gap is well documented. I'm sure the members of the board are aware of that and the reasons that contribute to it. However, for some specific data points from New York State's Department of Labor's 2025 update, the gender wage gap, quote, women are more likely to work part-time than men because they continue to bear a disproportionate burden from family caregiving responsibilities, end quote. Specifically, the report says 57.5% of part-time workers are women. And quote, if part-time and part-year workers were included in wage gap calculations, women earned just 78.2% for every dollar earned by men, end quote. Then on top of this gender pay gap, there is a significant full-time versus part-time faculty pay gap that do strive to educate the college and report about. Conversations between the college and the union on pay equity began around 2012, and language concerning pay equity was included in the part-time contract in 2016. Since that 2016-2020 contract, there hasn't been any progress on closing the pay gap, which is at the heart of my disappointment in this board. My hope is that between now and the next contract, board members will seek out opportunities to learn more about our part-time faculty and staff, who they are, how incredibly central they are to the workings of the college, the host of unfair ways they are treated, and then work together with DU to improve those working conditions. Ultimately, the working conditions of our faculty and staff are the learning conditions of our students. Thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you. Has everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes of the meeting held on? Any corrections needed? Is there a motion? Mrs. Costello, second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Moving on to academic and student affairs.
We had our meeting on November 12th and, we discussed the healthcare science AS degree, which is new to DCC. And we discussed the waiver of potential conflict with Lavender School District, which is due to the fact that they share the same attorney. So we needed to deal with potential conflict disclosure. And we had a presentation by Dr. Houston providing the committee with a presentation on the Center of Excellence for Business, Industry, and Innovation. We had informational updates on ESO leadership, DEI strategic plan, and campus clubs, and an enrollment update, and we're reminded of dates for upcoming events.
Your resolution. You got two resolutions tonight.
Oh, I have two resolutions. All right.
It's Christmas.
It is. I love reading resolutions. All right. Approval of the healthcare science AS degree, resolution number 2026-20. Whereas Dutchess Community College seeks to expand academic pathways that support student success and respond to regional workforce needs. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Dutchess County Community College hereby approves the establishment of the healthcare science AS degree and authorizes the submission of all required documentation to the State University of New York and the New York State Education Department for formal approval.
Is our second?
Second.
Any discussion? Very exciting resolution for us this evening, but I think all of us are thrilled about. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Next resolution.
The next one is I put forward resolution number 2026-21 and offer the following and move for its adoption. Whereas the Dutchess Community College is presently seeking to enter into an affiliation agreement with the Wappinger Central School District. And whereas the law firm of Thomas Drohan, Waxman, Pettigrew and Mail LLP presently represents both the college and Wappingers. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the president to execute a waiver of conflict on the college's behalf.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Moving on to board policy, Mr. Guzman.
We had our meeting on November 12th as well. We had a few items, two items for consideration. And I will be bringing one up later this update. We reviewed the proposed updates for the investment policy. And again, that one's being brought forward tonight. And we also reviewed a new policy, proposed new policy on selling surplus equipment to staff. This policy would be brought forward probably to the full board in January. We also had the same informational updates and reminders as the last committee. So at this point, I bring forward resolution number 2026-22 and offer the following resolution, move its adoption. Be it resolved that based upon the recommendation of the policy committee, the review by the Board of Trustees, the revised investment policy, which is stated and shall be made part of the official minutes of this meeting, is hereby approved, and be it further resolved that this policy shall be effective immediately, and that the board reconsider this policy again within 5 years or earlier, should it be determined revisions are needed prior to the scheduled review date.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Moving on to finance and facilities.
All right, so we had two presentations at our committee meeting. We met on November 24th. We had a presentation on Generate Capital, which is a potential energy saving opportunity. So more to come on that. The second presentation was, as we discussed earlier, on the Fishkill expansion and extension of the leases. And as was noted earlier, the committee did not recommend it, so we've taken it up here now at the full board. And then we also got updates on the board retreat and the campus transformation project, along with the collective bargaining agreement for the two part-time unit, which at that time is just about to be finalized.
I will read the two resolutions that you have before your committee this evening. Just a reminder to my colleagues, if there is the desire to table, according to Robert's Rules of Orders, the resolution needs to be read, it needs to be seconded, and at that point, someone can make a motion to table. There is no discussion on tabling a resolution, and it would be tabled if the majority vote in favor of it. Resolution 23, I offer the following and move its adoption. Whereas Dutchess Community College entered into a 15-year lease with JW Mays located at 453 Route 9, Fishkill, New York, for a period September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2035 to rent 47,000 square feet of space for off-campus instruction. And whereas Dutchess Community College would like to extend the existing current lease of 47,000 square feet for an additional 5 years, and has negotiated entering into a lease extension for the period September 1st, 2035 through August 31st, 2040. And whereas the rental payments pursuant to the existing lease currently at $18.86 per square foot After which there will be increases going forward of 2.5% each year for the remaining years. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the president of the college to enter into a 5-year lease extension agreement with J.W. Mays Incorporated for off-campus instruction. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I move to table this matter.
Is there a second on tabling?
Second.
All those in favor of tabling, please, actually, Joy, can you do a roll call too?
Mr. Frank Costello.
Aye.
Mr. Stephen Caswell,
Aye, table.
Miss Dara Cloud,
Aye.
Mr. Michael Dupree,
I'll be in May because it's just extending the current lease. This isn't about the expansion.
Did you say me?
Miss Angela, Dr. Angela Flesland,
I go by both. You can call, you don't have to call me Dr. Joy. I answer to both. Aye.
Mr. Guzman.
Aye.
Mr. McCormick,
Aye.
Miss Pratt,
Resolution tabled. Moving on to resolution 24, the following and move its adoption. Whereas Dutchess Community College wishes to enter in, wishes to lease additional space at JW May is located at 453 Route 9, Fishkill, New York. And whereas there's space available for the first floor of 22,500 square feet and the second floor of 53,000 square feet for a total of 75,500 square feet. Whereas the college has negotiated this lease for 75,500 feet of additional space for the anticipated start date of June 1st, 2026 through August 31st, 2040, with an initial base rate of $18.86 per square foot for years 1 through 3, and beginning in year 4, there will be increases of 2.5% each year for the remaining years. Whereas the landlord will provide the necessary renovation to this space per an agreed upon design. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the president of the college to enter into a 15-year lease expansion agreement with J.W. Mays for off-campus instruction.
Second.
Any discussion?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution is tabled. Moving on to personnel and community relations.
Thank you, Chair. Our committee met this evening. We first discussed the request for early retirement for 4 faculty members and Tina Kiernan as well. And while we regret their departure, at some point, we all agree that they deserve a merited status. We also discussed approval of the memorandum, the MOU between due for part-time contract. We had informational updates, including appointments. We also looked at the presidential evaluation that Peter prepared. We decided to move that out to a full board, so you'll be receiving that shortly. We spoke with Irene Oakway about spotlight training in mental health first aid, which apparently was very successful because there were 15 slots and they filled up almost instantly. So they'll be offering more training sessions as they go forward. We also looked at the reappointment offer letters that will be going out now for management consultant employees, which are a little bit different than they were before. So there'll be formal letters going out in terms of renewals. We also had legal updates, and then we had the same informational updates everyone else did, except for we discussed the Chamber of Commerce contact records held on November 19th, where Peter and members of our workforce training did it beautifully. And there was lots of excitement by those gathered, the business people, about what we have to offer, which dovetails what we were talking about earlier, but the programs are necessary and needed. Anybody have any questions on that? I offer resolution number 202625, move its adoption. Whereas Dana Wyman, Professor of Communications, Media Arts, and Film, is requested early retirement after completing 23 years of service with ECC. Now therefore be resolved, the retirement of Professor Wyman is hereby approved to be effective August 31st, 2026. Be it further resolved, the approval is granted to pay the appropriate benefits earned. And be it further resolved that Professor Wyman continue to teach film study courses. And be it further resolved that a recognition of her dedicated service to Dutchess Community College should be granted emeritus status upon her retirement. Be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees extends its sincere appreciation to Ms. Weidman for her valuable contributions to the college's educational program during her tenure, which are the very best in her retirement and future endeavors. So,
Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed, resolution carries. Resolution 27.
I offer resolution 2026-26 to move its adoption. Where Sancho de Guzman, professor of mathematics, has requested a one-time early retirement incentive under the MOA after completing 24 years of service with Dutchess Community College. Now therefore be resolved, the retirement of Ms. de Guzman is hereby approved to be effective August 15th, 2026. And be it further resolved that approval is granted to pay the appropriate benefits earned. Be it further resolved that in recognition of her dedicated service to DCC should be granted emeritus status upon retirement. Be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees extends its sincere appreciation to Ms. de Guzman for her valuable contributions to the college's educational programs during her tenure, and wishes her the very best in her retirement and future endeavors.
Second, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Resolution carries.
Resolution 2026-27, I move its adoption. Whereas Tina Kieran, Assistant Librarian, is requested a one-time early retirement incentive under the MOA after completing 18 years of service with DCC. Now therefore be resolved, the retirement of Ms. Kieran is hereby approved to be effective May 15th, 2026. And be it further resolved that approval is granted to pay the appropriate benefits earned. And be it further resolved that in recognition of her dedicated service to DCC should be granted emeritus status upon her retirement. And be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees extends its sincere appreciation to Ms. Kieran for valuable contributions to the college's educational program during her tenure, and wishes her the very best in her retirement and future endeavors.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
I offer resolution 2026-28, move to adoption, whereas Barbara Delansky, professor of mathematics, requested early retirement after completing 26 years of service with DCC. Now therefore be resolved that the retirement of Delansky is hereby approved to be effective August 31st, 2026. Be it further resolved that approval granted to pay the appropriate benefits earned, and be it further resolved that in recognition of her dedicated service to Dutchess Community College, she be granted emeritus status upon her retirement. And be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees extends its sincere appreciation to Ms. Delansky for her valuable contributions to the college's educational program during her tenure, and wishes her the very best in her retirement and future endeavors. Thank you.
I would just love to say that the letter she wrote was beautiful and really moving, yeah, and really spoke to what the college means to a lot of people.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying
Aye.
resolution carried.
I offer resolution 2026 and move its adoption. Whereas Dr. Joseph Allen, professor of English, has requested early retirement after completing 28 years of service with DCC. Now therefore be resolved, the retirement of Dr. Allen is hereby approved to be effective August 31st, 2026. Further resolved, the approval is granted to pay the appropriate benefits earned, and be it further resolved in recognition of his dedicated service to Dutchess Community College, he be granted emeritus status upon his retirement, and be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees extend its sincere appreciation to Dr. Allen for his valuable contributions to the college's educational program during his tenure, and wishes him the very best in his retirement and future endeavors.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, resolution carries. I want to wish everyone the very best in their retirement. And thank you for your service to BCC.
When you add that up, it's a collective of over 120 years of service to
Impressive.
college. It's very impressive. I will offer resolution 2026-30 move its adoption. Whereas existing bargaining agreements between Dutchess Community College and Dutchess United Educators expired on August 31st, 2025, and whereas the college and DU have come to agreement on the terms of successor contract, the part-time due membership for the period September 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2029, as outlined in the attached MOA, which shall be attached to the official minutes on file. Now therefore be resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves said MOA, and be it further resolved that said MOA be forwarded to the Dutchess County Legislature for its consideration and approval.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Congratulations to you.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Congratulations. And thank you to everyone who served on the committee. That ends our resolutions. Moving on to the student trustee, who looks a little different this evening, but
He's a lot older and longer too. Ryan couldn't be with us tonight, so he asked me to make his report. It's funny that he asked the oldest person up here to make his report. First Rocky Horror Picture Show this year marked the 50th anniversary of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. DCC celebrated this milestone with a live shadowcast performance marking the 25th year alumni performed this iconic event on campus. The interactive hecklers, alongside the alumni's dynamic performances, created an exciting and memorable experience for students. The event underscored the power of tradition, community, and creative expression within our student body. The event saw about 87 attendees. This is the first year that they used Ticket Leap, an app for reservations. The data collected will be shared with the DCC Foundation for future planning. The recent government shutdown brought concerns about the impact on SNAP benefits for many students. Ryan is proud to report that despite the uncertainty, our student body responded with incredible support. There was a noticeable increase in participation in the pantry and food drives last month. Students generously donated food, volunteered their time, and made sure no one felt left behind. With Thanksgiving just behind us, this outpouring of support was a reminder of the importance of giving back to others, especially in difficult times. It demonstrated what it truly means to be part of a caring and supportive community. On December 4th, Drummond Hall hosted a Narcan training session. The session provided both students and staff with necessary skills to respond to opioid overdoses. Free Narcan kits were distributed to attendees, making it a proactive step toward ensuring the safety and preparedness of our campus community. Winter session registration is now open. Classes will run from December 18th to January 8th, offering students the chance to stay engaged and earn credits during the break. Additionally, spring semester registration is currently underway. Ryan has been encouraging students to meet with their advisors early to ensure smooth scheduling and avoid last-minute registration issues. The Spring Club Fair will take place on Thursday, January 29th from 12:30 to 2 p.m. in the Greenspan Cafeteria and Drummond Hall. This event provides clubs with an opportunity to recruit new members and promote their activities. Clubs wishing to participate must complete the attached table reservation form submitted by January 22nd, 2026. Space is limited, so early submission is highly encouraged. This is an excellent opportunity to help students connect with the various clubs and resources available to them on campus. Recent student events, including Monster Mash on October 31st, organized by DSMG. The event drew about 75 to 80 students, and DCC at Night Solstice Party, held on December 5th. The event drew about 40 students, including a performance by the newly formed DCC band. These events demonstrated student enthusiasm for social and creative activities that foster a sense of community on campus. Looking ahead to the spring semester, there's some key events already planned by student government. Spring Club Fair, Thursday, January 29th. Valentine's Flower Sale, Friday, February 13th at Greenspan. An NYC trip to the Westminster Dog Show at the Javits Center, Saturday, January 31st. Cartwright Water Park trip, Saturday, February 7th, Cartwright Resort. Hunter Mountain Snow Tubing trip on Sunday, February 22nd. Moulin Rouge, the musical trip to New York City will be Sunday, February 28th. Karaoke night will be Thursday, February 19th. Count me out on that one. Party Pros artists will be to be determined on the date. It'll be at DCC Fishkill. That's where you do name painting. And the Red Cross Blood Drive will be February 12th, tentatively hosted by STEM Club or Student Government Association. Finals week. As we approach finals week, I would like to extend his best wishes to all of our students. Finals week can be stressful, but he has full confidence in the resilience and hard work of our students. It is during moments like these that students show their determination and their ability to rise to the occasion. Support from the college community plays a vital role in helping them succeed, even under pressure. And finally, these updates reflect the ongoing engagement and determination of our students, their ability to support each other, their commitment to academic and community growth, and dedication to helping those in need, which continue to strengthen the campus. Please feel to reach out to Ryan if you have any questions or need further information.
I miss him.
I know, I love Ryan. That was a very detailed report, and I think that your charisma came through.
I think we should all throw up for Kerry.
Don't think we're one. My report is next.
Yep.
So, kind of as was mentioned in the student trustee report, when the government shutdown was happening, the first thing I did was reach out to President Jordan and make it abundantly clear that this board would do whatever was necessary to make sure that our students had the resources that they needed in light of the SNAP benefits being suspended. I said, we will have a special meeting if we need to. We will do whatever is necessary we need to make sure that our students are taken care of. I want to thank you for having your food drive on campus and really helping to bring everyone together. And I think that you can see a lot of times where our federal government is a model in what not to do. But what we do is kind of come through and say, hey, we are a community, we care about each other, we take care of each other. You know, what can I do to help? And that's what we did, and we made it work. So kudos to everybody on campus for helping to take care of our own, to make sure that everyone had the necessary food, because there's nothing to me more frustrating than the thought of our students not having food when they go home. And that's what I said to Peter. I'm like, this is non-negotiable. Like, we are going to make sure that we take care of our students and their families. The last thing I wanted was our student parents not to have breakfast for their kids in the morning. So we made it work. But God forbid that happens again, we are certainly prepared to step up and do whatever necessary. Dr. Jordan and I on November 15th, we were present for the fall open house. There were 230 prospective students and their families, over close to 1,000 people on campus. The post-event survey results showed that both students and their families were not only impressed by the event, but also the friendly, welcoming atmosphere created by our staff and current students. It was great to see the departments present, engaging the students, as well as the clubs that were there. We had a really good time walking around and talking to everyone. And what I loved was how many people I knew that were there. You know, coworkers of mine were there with their kids, and, you know, we're just kind of meeting people. And, you know, there were alum that were there. There were people that were new to the area, and it was a really good event. So everyone in admissions that put that on, thank you. DCC also hosted the annual fall transfer fair on November 8th, welcoming representatives for more than 70 colleges. College representatives praised DCC students for their strong engagement and enthusiasm to continuing their education. The inaugural First to Forever conference successfully provided students with a full professional conference experience focused on celebrating the achievements of students, faculty, and staff, particularly those who are first-generation college students. Over 45 students and 21 faculty and staff attended the event. Lastly, DCC Cares proudly supported 12 housing insecure students over the Thanksgiving break by fully covering their housing charges and meals. I have a lot more that I could say, but in light of the hour, I will move on to the report of the president. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair Flessler. I'm gonna start by asking Scott to provide us with an enrollment update. Scott.
Try to keep this short and sweet. So for the spring, we continue to have strong enrollment numbers. We did take a bit of a hit with the snow day last week, but we have over 2,700 students enrolled, which is over 500 at this point last year. That's a bit misleading because there's about 130 students who are enrolled in the nursing program and the aviation maintenance, that those cohorts were enrolled last year at this point. But that's still around 400 students more than last year, considering we have 260 more students here than last year in the fall. Things are looking very strong for the spring. There are 146 new students enrolled compared to 122 the same point last year, which is a 20% increase in applications for the spring, around 70%. Winter is lagging slightly behind. We have 10 students fewer than we did at this point last year. It's a very small registration term. We're talking 280 some students enrolled right now. But it's all online. It's 3-week classes. Basically be working Christmas, so it's not a big time to be taking classes, but it helps some of our students who need to get a class to be a prerequisite for the fall, so it's useful. It's not a major semester for us, but it's a good semester for our students. Looking forward to next fall, applications are up 29% for next fall. That's a 380 increase in applications. Over 200 of those are from increases in the SUNY application, that's not a big deal to compare to those students who come here. But we do have over 150 increase in applications from our own. So things are starting well for next year as well. And finally, I want to talk a little bit about what our students do after they. It's not essentially a role initiative, but it should be a pride for DCC and particularly our faculty. This past month, all student colleges submitted their current data to SUNY and becomes available to run analyses on. And so I looked at how our students do when they go to the SUNY. And compared to all the other community colleges, we have a 1-year retention rate higher than all of them by the next closest school is 3%. We're nearly 10% of the average. We're 7 or 8% of the average freshman is going to colleges. So our students are extremely successful. This is not a one-time thing. This is historically the case, but our students are more successful than any of the other community colleges. So it should be a great CC.
Any questions? I don't know why more people don't like those winter currents. I love that.
Thank you, Scott. I want to start by thanking Trustee Costello for extending an invitation on behalf of the Dutchess County Regional Chamber of Commerce for DCC to showcase what we're doing here at the November contact breakfast. We had a panel of students and staff who participated and did an absolutely outstanding job. And I want to publicly thank all of them for participating in that event. I got a really good feedback following the event, and as recently as last Thursday, folks I ran into are still talking about it. On Tuesday, Assemblymember Barrett will be on campus. We'll be hosting her. She will be here to uplift childcare and early childhood education. We know that Assemblymember Barrett is very keen on her district and especially the community colleges in her district, and supports the human services. She is very instrumental, and in fact, she is the force behind getting us over the last year almost $1 million to support year-round housing here. So we're keeping our fingers crossed and hoping that there's some good news coming along with that visit as well. Last Wednesday, I took a trip to Washington, D.C. To join the SUNY Advocacy Day on Capitol Hill. Had the pleasure of visiting with Senator Schumer, Gillibrand, Minority Leader Representative Hakeem Jeffries, Representative Ryan, and Representative Lawler. I had the privilege of introducing some of 9 of my SUNY colleagues, presidents, to Representative Ryan and Lawler, and they couldn't have been more gracious and inviting and accepting. Topics that we spoke to them about included Pell, pushing the envelope on again on Pell, because it is a real important source for students in terms of funding their education. We also made appeal and advocated for the TRIO programs. We have a TRIO student success program here that we continue to worry about in terms of its funding, and they pledged their support for that program and all the TRIO programs. We also talked about Title III and Title V funding, which is under assault, and appealed to them to do what they can to support those programs as well. As you all probably know, the one big beautiful bill yielded workforce health, which will allow us hopefully going forward to allow students who are in micro-credential programs and non-credit programs to use Workforce Pell to support their education here at BCC and across the country in community colleges. We also had the opportunity to share with them some of the opportunities that our campuses provide to our congressional delegates and representatives in Washington, D.C., including subject matter experts or faculty or staff who are available and ready to help provide them with information they need to create the kind of public policy that support us and the data as well. So we invited them to count on us, to rely on us. To want to pick up on the last point that Scott made in terms of the shout out to faculty, especially at this particular moment when they are knee deep, perhaps neck deep in finals and grading papers and exams and so forth. I had the opportunity last week at our campus town hall to hear about some of the capstone activities that faculty have been engaging in, which we all know and appreciate, but very innovative and creative kinds of activities to keep students engaged, but especially to ensure that our students are learning deeply. So kudos to our faculty and a big shout out to them. I'm sure that's the end of my report.
Is there any further business to come before us this evening?
Can I make a comment? Maybe not a business. Sure. Promise. Easy. So last week, December 4th, I was invited to a forum, to a discussion. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it was about uplifting the voices and experiences of students of color. It was Professor Morris's English final. I heard several speakers, including professors and students. And one of my takeaways is that this course allowed an open space for students to discuss various topics openly. Something that they're probably not used to. I think it allowed students to express themselves, and I heard that representation was very important. So I wanted to just say that I'm very proud of the DCC community. Thank you for Benny and Antonio for inviting me. But again, a lot of cool things are happening, and it really showcased the students, the faculty, the professors. I mean, you guys are awesome. So thank you.
Our next scheduled meeting is January 27th, 2026. I would not be surprised if a special meeting is called before that. So keep eye on their calendars for that. I want to wish everyone a very happy holiday season. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a safe night, everybody. Good night. Stay safe.